All right. So let me give you a little bit of an introduction here. So what we're looking at right now is uh, a slide presentation I made using Microsoft PowerPoint. And this was a slide presentation. And this was a slide presentation I made while I was in graduate school. And I was presenting my work at the TMS conference in 2011. This is with another colleague of mine. Um, And so here I was talking about large 3D oxides with length scale dependent magnetic properties. So, I'm just kind of showing this within Microsoft PowerPoint, just showing that, I've composed, slide presentations in the past. Slide presentations usually have a mixture of text and pictures. You don't really want too many words because you're trying to just communicate ideas, and you don't want your audience to be reading a lot of text. You want to be able to maybe communicate things, with pictures. So I created illustrations like this one here using the drawing tools in Microsoft PowerPoint, and I included that here in this slide for my presentation. I made these pictures also using the picture tools, the making tools, or the picture drawing tools um, inside Microsoft PowerPoint, and I put them in this slide. This one I used, 3D modeling software to make this picture. But here you see, just a mix of text, and I've got some equations here. This picture I made using some software that lets you visualize crystal structures and materials. So this was the crystal structure of terbium gallium garnet, which is a magneto-optical material that's very commonly used in industry. And I had made a material to compete with this. Here I'm taking some screenshots from a textbook and kind of highlighting a certain area, kind of showing the chemical properties of three rare earth elements, terbium, dysprosium, and holmium. Again, a mixture of illustrations with information. Here's terbium, gallium, garnet, the crystal structure for that. Here's the crystal structure for dysprosium oxide or dysprosia, which I had densified and presented here in this presentation. So, you can see I've got a lot of pretty colorful illustrations and graphs to kind of illustrate my ideas. Here's the actual samples that I made under different temperatures with different holding times, and I was making a comparison across these five temperatures with these five samples, trying to figure out why this one was the clearest, among all these five. That's what you do as a materials engineer and a materials scientist is you make materials and you try and find the optimal conditions for doing so. So here's a scatter plot showing with each of these processing temperatures how the grain size in the material grew versus the density of the sample. And I was trying to show that the sample with the highest density and the one of the smaller grain sizes was responsible for making the clearest sample, the most transparent sample. This is a picture I like a lot. Well, I'm kind of getting distracted here, going off on a tangent. But anyway, this is my sample, being held by a pair of magnets, being, kind of held above the table. And in the background, I've got three laser plant pens that are shining on the back. And the reason why I did this is because I had a laser pen in red, green, and blue. And this is showing that you're seeing the light on the other side of my sample. So my sample is transmitting light, but it's transmitting light in all of these different colors of the rainbow. And you even see where you've got a mixture of two wavelengths and you get yellow in the middle, and even yellow is being transmitted. So anyway, the point of me showing this was not to talk about magneto-optical materials, but instead to show that I've, made presentations with um, slide presentation software like Microsoft PowerPoint. And Google has their own product for doing the same thing. That's Google Slides. Now, you don't have to just use this with making slides. You can also use it to make posters. So this is a poster that I had made also to present my work at a conference. And I formatted this poster to be 4 feet wide and 3 feet tall. So in the software program in Microsoft PowerPoint, you can actually set the dimensions of your slide. But I made my slide to be 48 inches wide, 36 inches tall, and, I created this poster using that. And you can see there's a mixture of text and pictures, and I put a background image in. I put the emblem of the University of California, Riverside with this icon that I made for our laboratory. We were called the AMPS Lab. I used 3D software for that, by the way. Um, and so, you can see that I structured this in 3 columns, and I was trying to, tell a story with this. But let's see here, not only can you use this to make posters, but you can also use slide presentation software just to make illustrations. Okay. So if you've never seen one before, this is what's called a peer-reviewed journal paper. Okay. What engineers and scientists do when they've discovered something unique to science is they get together with their collaborators. So here you can see my name is second, and these other people, these were people that collaborated with me on this project. We all worked together on this project. We all had different roles to play in this project. And we put our work together in this paper. And, for my statistics class, you're writing a report, and your report has the same sections you would find in a peer-reviewed paper. You've got an introduction section, a method section, which is kind of like a definitions section here. Oops, go away. And then let's see here. So this is kind of where you put all of your equations and everything else. And then you've got a results section. You've got a section for discussion. And then finally, at the very end, you have a conclusion. Okay. So same sections that you would have. And then you have references. So anytime you reference someone else's work, you got to give them credit for that. So in this peer-reviewed paper, now this is a professional peer-reviewed paper. This is a professional document. This goes out and is disseminated throughout the entire world. And if anyone else in any other country, any other institution, wants to know more about electrophoretic deposition of functionally graded materials, they might see this paper and do research or even cite this paper for their own research. And so you'll notice that this paper not only just has text kind of explaining everything, but it's also got illustrations. And guess what? This is the illustration that I made for this paper, and I made this with Microsoft PowerPoint. Okay, so using the drawing tools in Microsoft PowerPoint is good enough for the most professional work you could imagine. Okay, because again, you're just trying to communicate an idea and you're trying to communicate it cleanly and simply. Okay, and the drawing tools, within a slide presentation software will let you do it. And here's another illustration or figure that I made using Microsoft PowerPoint. So I just used the drawing tools in there to make it. And that got included in this paper, and this paper was published. I did not make these illustrations. These were done by my collaborators. Okay, so some of this text in here is mine. Some of the illustrations in here are mine. But I just kind of want to show you that Microsoft PowerPoint can be used for or slide presentation software in general, Google Slides included, can be used for many different purposes. All right. So, the tutorial video that I'm giving you on how to use Microsoft PowerPoint has really a lot of power and a lot of use because you can adapt it for different needs. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of give you this introduction as to how important what it is I'm trying to teach you is and how it can be useful for you, not only in this class, but also moving forward in the rest of your classes in college. You can use slide presentation software to make illustrations. You can use it to make posters besides just slide presentations. Okay. Um, and, outside of this class, in your job, if you keep going in academia, you need to make illustrations for other things. Okay. I'm trying to teach you the skills necessary so that you can do well moving forward. All right, so let's leave it at that. I just wanted to maybe establish some credit as far as what I'm talking about. This is a paper that me and these collaborators worked on while I was a postdoc at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory here in Livermore, California. And this was published in July 2021. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions about this.